Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Food Experience. Today's experience, man, this is one that I've been saving up for a long time. I'm really trying to get good at making pizza, okay? And I've tried a few different recipes and hydration levels and baking temperatures and times and upper rack, lower rack, all that good stuff. Broiler, no broiler. Here's one I made today. This one's a little more rigid, but definitely got some good browning on the bottom. It's a real super thin slice of pizza. In this video, I'm going to break down and do a few different things. They may not be the way you do them, but they're the way that I do them, and I'm experimenting, okay? In the video, we're going to go over how to make the dough, what type of dough I'm using, the sauce, how to make it from scratch, portioning it out, and then baking it. And I have a bunch of outtakes at the end of this video. Like when you normally see me do my outro, don't stop, because there's going to be a lot more footage after that and some really interesting things too. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get it going.
You can use a stand mixer or do it by hand. I prefer a stand mixer. Add in 600 milliliters of cold water, starting off with 500 and then adding in 100 more. 3 grams of instant dry yeast, 10 grams of sugar, and remember, this is a New York style pizza, not an Italian style pizza, or I would not be adding sugar. Give it a quick stir. Using a 1 kilogram bag of Caputo Chefs Flour, start off by adding in a half to 3/4 of the bag. Fitting the mixer with the dough hook. Lower the mixer and turn it on to a low speed. You want to let that mix for a few minutes until all the flour is well absorbed into the water. Add in a little bit more flour at a time and let it get incorporated. Start adding in a little bit more flour. We're doing it in steps until everything gets well incorporated. A little more. Since I have an El Cheapo mixer, I do need to scrape down the sides every now and again. Resuming on low speed. Adding in a little bit more. Adding in the salt. The dough is definitely coming along now. Stopping and removing the dough from the hook. Adding in the remaining flour. Starting it back up on low speed. Adding in 50 grams of extra virgin olive oil. Speeding it up to a medium-high speed. This will start the kneading process, and I plan on letting that go for about 6 minutes. At this point, the dough should be pulling away from the sides of the mixing bowl. It's been going for about 6 minutes. Let's go ahead and check it out. Removing the dough hook, and wow, this dough is looking super smooth. It's looking a tiny bit sticky, or should I say tacky. This is exactly where you want it to be. It should not be all dried out.
Yeah, that's like super smooth looking, folks. Put olive oil on your hands and kind of tap. You could already see in the course of it sitting here, it's already spreading out. Bench scraper works great.
Putting the dough back into the bowl. Covering it and letting it rest for a few hours. Here's a look at the dough after 3 hours, and wow, it has tripled in size after the first rise. The texture of the dough is so smooth, it almost feels like glass. Very lightly dusting the work surface. Removing the dough.
So soft and smooth. It's nice and gassy too, I could tell, but so super smooth.
For the purpose of this video, I'm making 2 dough balls, one of them around 250 grams, the other around 300 grams. 256 grams, good enough. First one is weighed out. Next one, 300 grams. That should do it. The remainder I'm putting back in the mixing bowl. Getting the first dough ball ready, you want to fold it up underneath itself, the way I am doing it in the video, and kind of tuck it under itself. You're trying to trap all the air inside. Then try to squeeze it, turn it upside down, and pinch the ends together. And that will trap all of the air in, which is exactly what you want. Putting the dough ball into the center of a pan, I lightly oiled my fingers with extra virgin olive oil, just tapping it a little bit on so that the plastic does not stick on the top of the dough ball. Covered in plastic wrap into the refrigerator for 48 hours. Time to work that second dough ball, and the same thing. Pull it up underneath itself, fold it up underneath itself, should I say, and kind of rotate it as you're doing so. Kind of squeezing everything together. You could rotate it around like this, putting your fingers underneath it to kind of help form it. And it's starting to look real glossy. And then upside down and pinch everything together. That will seal all the air in. That's also resting for 48 hours in the refrigerator. For the sauce, I'm using olive oil, crushed tomatoes, tomato paste, salt, pepper, oregano, and sugar. Using a digital scale, I'm using 300 grams of crushed tomatoes, 10 grams of extra virgin olive oil, 10 grams of sugar, 5 grams of salt, 2 grams of black pepper, and a good solid pinch of oregano. I like to break it up in my fingers, kind of reactivate it a little bit. Using an immersion blender at low speed, it should be a little bit pulpy. Whisk together all the ingredients so they get very well combined. There you go, pizza sauce is complete. Time to grate some cheese using whole milk mozzarella. Make sure to use the whole milk, otherwise you won't get the full flavor. Plus, don't use pre-shredded cheese. It has anti-caking ingredients. I really love this rotary cheese grater. It makes it so easy. I got a nice big chunk right here. Put it in and crank away. I'll need just a little bit more. There we go. Now that's a good amount of cheese. This time I'm using dough that had 65% hydration. Need to add a little bit of flour. This is some really sticky dough. I've got it all stretched out, and now adding the tomato sauce. Adding some Parmigiano Reggiano, mozzarella. Lastly, adding some cup and crisp pepperoni by Hormel. I really love this stuff. It crisps up pretty good. And there you go. Oven was preheated to 550 degrees, and into the second to the lowest rack it goes. It's been baking a bit over 6 minutes on the second to the lowest rack, now transferring it to the center rack. Pizza has been in broil mode on the center rack for about a minute, giving it a turn and closing it back up. After another minute, it looks good and time to remove. That's what I'm looking at, and it's still nice and sizzling.
Nice.
Coming in at 14 inches. See you guys back at the table.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with the last pepperoni pizza I just made. It had 65% hydration dough, which is higher than I normally go. And it was a little bit too sticky and wet. So I'm going to back it off to 60% hydration next time. That's kind of like the sweet spot for this dough. But look at this. That's pretty good. It doesn't really have a lot of flop to it, but I bet it's going to taste good. Let's do it. Wowza. The crust has some nice air in it. Oh, this is good. I will say this. I have been filming about 6 different pizza videos, and I'm like, which one do I use? I don't know. You know, this is the last one that I made. There are some clips in this video that I think maybe I'll organize them and have bonus footage at the end of this video, just showing you the few times that I tried it, or a few of them, should I say. Wow. I want to be a pizza maker, I tell you, and I'm still trying to get it right, but it's pretty dang good. This is pretty dang close. The one in the Kalorik Maxx, not so much. You really need a higher temperature oven to work with this Caputo dough. Even 550, it could be a little bit hotter, but 550 definitely works. But 450, nah, not so much. I didn't get that leopard pattern that I get on this. And that crispy bottom. So good. The crust has a nice crunchy exterior. I mean, not too like hard crunchy, but kind of like flaky crunchy. And then it's totally pillowy soft underneath that. So that's going to about do it with my pizza making extravaganza video here. I'm probably going to still continue making pizzas. And when I get it where I think it's just like perfect, then I'll come back and do another video. But I know I'm close. I mean, this is really good pizza. I'd also like to make some other pizzas. Some of my friends on Facebook were like, hey, why don't you make a Chicago deep dish? Or why don't you make like a Boston pie? Or, you know, there's different ones from all over around the world. Detroit style, you know, there's all different kinds of pies. So maybe I'll do that. I don't know. For right now, I'm done with pizzas and moving on to some other things that I want to get good at. I hope you guys enjoyed this pizza extravaganza video by The Food Experience. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, drop me a line below. I love hearing from you guys. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you leave. I got all kinds of good things coming up. And until next time, have a stellar day. Be excellent. And most of all, remember me, I am KJ Andy O, your Food Experience host with the most. Y'all take care, and I'll see you next time.
Time to try one in the Kalorik Maxx. This one is approximately 10 inches, I would say. Applying some tomato sauce, adding some Romano cheese, and some mozzarella cheese, along with some onions, and lastly some bell peppers. Some last-minute stretching out, Max has been preheated to 450 degrees, and in it goes. After about 8 minutes, I'll rotate the pizza.
It's been about 8 minutes. Time to rotate it around.
And letting it continue. I removed the pizza after about another 4 minutes, and it's definitely looking done, although it didn't really brown too well, and that's because Caputo flour requires a much hotter oven. This pizza I'm serving up to my dad, and I'll see you guys back at the table.
Wow, look at this. This looks good enough to eat. Did you make this? Son,
Absolutely.
this is wonderful. Wait till I taste it. Mmm. Boy, that tastes good.
Well, how's the sauce? Because I made the sauce from
Sauce
scratch.
is great.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. That's sauce, Sam.
Yeah?
Wow. That's where sauce belongs on a pizza.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A nice big bubble here. Mmm.
Good?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's pockets of air in the crust.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's all good.
So, thumbs up?
Oh, yeah, both.
Well, I'm still perfecting my skills, but we'll see what we do next time. Thanks, Dad, for your opinion and everything.
You're very welcome. It's really good.
Trying another pizza in the Maxx, and I don't expect the best, but we will see what happens. Just removed it from the Maxx after about 12 minutes, and it is still sizzling. The bottom definitely did not get any browning, and I know it's just because this flour is not really appropriate for such low temperatures. Here is one of the 300-gram dough balls that I put away. It really has risen and fermented, been in the refrigerator for 48 hours. Time to turn it out. And first, I need to flour the top of it just a tad. It's a little bit sticky, 60% hydration dough. Removing the dough from the pan, and it's looking pretty dang good. Very well fermented from the smell. A little bit of flour on the top. There's definitely a good amount of air. And what you want to do is use your fingertips and kind of push the air bubbles out to the edge of the crust. And I'm still not perfect at this, but I'm learning more and more each time I give it a try. And if you notice, the dough is super, super soft. I mean, it's like very pillowy, like I will say. It should not be firm. You should not have to apply too much pressure by doing this. Flipping it back over so that what was the top is now the bottom. That's the side you want to bake. Pick it up and stretch it out the rest of the way, and I'm still getting used to this. I've tried a couple different methods, but this is what's working for me so far, and it works. As you could tell, as I'm going around, it's kind of rotating the dough, and in addition to that, the gravity is stretching it. And I usually end up doing it too much and too thin, and I always get a little hole, but nothing major. As you could see, it worked out pretty good this time. Transfer it over to the screen, and I should probably just put it onto the screen when I am done stretching it out the first time, you know? Doing some finishing touches and making sure it is stretched out to the edges of the screen. Applying the pizza sauce that I made earlier. Nice fresh sauce, I tell you. And you want to spread it out. A ladleful is definitely not enough for a 16-inch pizza, so I'm going to have to grab some more at some point. But you want to spread it out fairly thin. You don't want big pools of it. And again, I'm still getting used to the whole process and still learning as I go along. And you want to go out to the edge, but try not to get it on top of the crust, which I did at one little spot there. And again, I'm learning as I go, so it's always a fun experience to make a pizza though. Sprinkling on some Parmigiano Reggiano. I love that as a good little sprinkled base cheese. It has a certain flavor that the mozzarella does not carry. Really makes your pizza next level. Time for the mozzarella cheese, and you want to go around the edges first. I always worry if I've grated enough cheese or not, and I should probably get the measurements down so I don't have to stress about it, but I just kind of do it by eye. I've been doing it that way, and I've been making these pizzas for about 4 months now, trying to get the technique down and the taste down and everything just right. And I still have a little bit more work to go as I am doing this whole pizza extravaganza for you guys. For the finishing touch, adding on pepperoni. For this pizza, I'm just using a moderate amount of pepperoni. Usually I do around 4 times that much. And for this one, I'm using boar's head pepperoni. Oven is preheated to 550 and the second to the lowest rack. It's been going about 6 minutes and time to remove the pizza for a moment. Here's what it looks like after 6 minutes baking on top of a pizza steel. I put the screen on a steel and I don't think I will do that anymore. It really didn't help. But now I'm brushing some olive oil around the edge of the crust just to help brown it a little bit in the next process. One could actually say it's done now. It really did not need to bake any further, but I decided to put it in the broiler, which did not work out so well. It burnt it just a little bit. But as I'm mentioning, I am learning as I go along with this whole escapade of pizza baking. Turning on broil on high, letting it finish up on the center oven rack. Removing it from the oven, I kept it in there for about 2 minutes, which is a little bit too long. As you could see, some of it did burn just a tad. There's definitely some nice browning going on, and it's a little bit crispy, but yet puffy and soft underneath. Unfortunately, it did stick at one spot where the pizza crust was too thin. Time for another pizza. I already have the oven heated up to 550 degrees, 16-inch pizza or thereabouts, and time to apply some sauce. That should be a decent amount of sauce right there. This side sprung back a little bit, stretching it back out to the edge of the screen. Adding some freshly grated whole milk mozzarella cheese. Lastly, adding some oregano, and wow, that was a lot of cheese I was able to put on the pizza. Putting the pizza into the oven for about 5 minutes on the top rack. Letting it go a little longer. It's been baking for an additional minute. That's looking pretty dang good. Now I'm putting it on the very lowest rack to let the bottom get a little bit of that leopard pattern. Letting that go for 30 seconds. Rotated the pizza and back in for another 30 seconds. Another 30 seconds has elapsed. Let's check it out. That's what we're looking at, and it's looking really good. Cutting it into 6 slices. The bottom definitely has that leopard pattern going on. And wow, look at that flop. This just looks so good. This time I'm making a chili cheese dog pizza with some mild cheddar. Give that a good grate. I love using this rotary grater, it works so good. Cutting up some Hebrew National beef franks. Little flour on the dough. Pushing all the air to the edges and stretching it out as I'm doing that, flipping it over again, and then picking it up and stretching it by hand. And this is going to be a smaller pizza. I've never made a chili cheese dog pizza, and I just thought I would give this a go. There's those Hebrew National Beef Franks, and in addition I got Tommy's copycat chili that's been in the refrigerator, picking the dough up, transferring it over to the pizza screen, and stretching it back out to that familiar circle type of shape that we all like to call a pizza. Adding the chili, and following that up with the cheddar cheese, and also the hot dogs. And check that out, just came out of the oven, and wow, this is such a neat idea. And I actually liked it. It came out really good. I thought it was really tasty, just making it into fours. And that's about all I got for you, folks. Y'all take care. Have a stellar day. Be excellent. And I'll see you later. KJ Andio out.